traffic jam in Colleyville?
They're sick.
We'll document it, don't worry about it, as long as the bill is.
Good morning. Welcome to this regularly scheduled meeting of the Tarrant Appraisal District Board. I will call on, we'll do the roll call first. Roll call.
Rick Barnes.
Here.
Callie Rigney. Mike Alfred. Alan Blaylock.
Here.
Eric Morris.
Here.
Gloria Pena.
Here.
Fred Campos.
Here.
Wendy Burgess. Here. Matt Bryant.
Here.
We have a quorum. Callie Rigney's out sick this morning. I talked to her last night, and the way she sounded on the phone, I said, please don't come. And then Mike got called to court as an attorney. as an attorney. So, and he didn't have any choice but to not be here. If you'll please rise, we'll do the pledges and the invocation.
Please join me for the pledge.
Wait. Leading our invocation is Jeff Payne, Keystone Church, Keller, Texas.
Well, thank you for the invitation to be here today. My name is Jeff Payne. I'm one of the pastors at Keystone Church in Keller, Texas. Our family's lived in Tarrant County now for about 9 years. As today is the day after Veterans Day, if there are any of those who've served in the armed forces, we'd love to just recognize and thank you for your service today. We're all standing, so I guess if you want to. Well, thank you so much. Well, if you will you bow your heads with me for a moment of prayer? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We acknowledge that you are the giver of every good thing in our lives, and so we take a moment just to pause and recognize you today. Thank you for providing leadership that stewards the tasks that come with building strong communities, and I thank you for your protection and provision over our homes. As the board members who are gathered here today and those who are unable to make it today, as they have poured themselves into serving Tarrant County, I ask that you would pour back into them with an abundant measure. I ask that you would continue to grant them wisdom, leadership, integrity, courage, and commitment so that they can continue governing our communities, caring for our homes. We ask for your hand of blessing and favor on each individual in this room and on Tarrant County. May our schools continue to be a place where future young leaders can discover their purpose, activate their potential. May our businesses experience prosperity, building our communities and enriching our lives, and may our neighborhoods continue to be safe and beautiful spaces for all generations. Ultimately, Father, we ask for your kingdom come, your will be done, in our lifetime as it is in heaven. We love you, and it's in the name of your Son, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Campos.
Now, will you join me in the pledge? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Just a couple of thoughts from me. Tax bills have now been mailed out from my office, from the tax office. I've been forewarned as we got close to this process that the phones would start ringing off the wall the second the tax bills hit, and they did. But in a very different way this year. I don't know if we've received any calls complaining about the bill this year. 100% of the calls that I've received have been in support of lower property taxes. I've reminded people throughout the year that the tax office does not set your taxes. We simply assess and share and send out the bills. The tax rates are set by the entities, and the appraisal is set by this operation, and you put those two together in math and you come out with a tax bill. Three specific calls that I've received that I wanted to talk a little bit about. One was just simply from an elected official that called and said, I've never seen such support for taxpayers out of the tax process as we've had this year. The second one, though, I got a call from a 84-year-old woman that said she lived in Tarrant County for 50 years and has never in her entire lifetime seen her bill as low as it is today. The third one was from a 72-year-old female in Mid-Cities area who called and was literally crying on the phone, stating that she's finally not thinking about having to move out of her house that she's owned for her entire life because the taxes are now affordable. All of those cases are in place because of the tax freeze and the lower tax rates from the entities. The tax freeze has been a very, very positive thing for taxpayers, despite the fact that some, even in this very room, some even on this board, don't agree with them and fought against them big time. And I hope the taxpayers out there are aware of that reality as they think about votes that are upcoming. As it relates to that, I don't know if you've noticed, the governor has announced reelection. In his reelection bid, he put out his priorities for his next cycle, and if you understand how that works, his priorities are issues that will be addressed until they're not addressed. This is why you end up with special sessions at the end of the session. If his issues do not get addressed, he calls a special session, so you'll go back in and start working on those. And one of those was related specifically to his 6 steps to overhaul the tax system in the state of Texas. 2 issues out of those 6 that affect what we do here. He wants to go to a process of freezing property appraisals for every 5 years in the state of Texas. What we did here was a 1-year freeze, and I think that Tarrant County set the standard for what's being talked about elsewhere. We're doing good work here, and that work, if it gets reversed, is going against the good work we've done and going against the desires of even what the governor's doing moving forward. It leads to fewer surprises, less red tape, and more peace of mind for Texas families, and that's important. But he also put another one in that's going to be interesting for schools in particular, because he said that we need to provide the voters with rights to decide whether or not they want to eliminate school district property taxes for homeowners. That's going to be a very interesting process to watch to see how that moves forward. I've said all along that the issue in all of this is the schools and the school funding model in the state, and that model is old and broken and needs to be fixed, and needs to be fixed fast. That should not ride on the backs of taxpayers. And so the work that we're doing here is good, while we also got to make sure that the schools get taken care of in the school education funding. And so those are big conversations to look forward to as we move forward. The only other thing I want to talk about is, as many know, Mr. Blaylock has announced that he's resigning from this board. Mr. Blaylock is moving to brighter waters in Austin, and I don't know how that's possibly thought of as a good thing. But he announced to us earlier this week that I knew he was running for state rep, and I actually am supporting him wholeheartedly in that role. It's a big loss to a couple of areas, though. It's a big loss to the city of Fort Worth. In the city of Fort Worth, Mr. Blaylock is actually one of the reasonable thinkers on that city council. There's a few, but not many, and he's one of those, and so it's good to have him there, and that will be a big loss to the city of Fort Worth. But it's also a big loss to this board. Mr. Blaylock's been one that I've come to know as a friend, and somebody that I know I can call on as a confidant in conversation, not always to decide how we ought to do things, but to bounce issues and say, well, here's what I'm thinking, what are you thinking, and where are we, what are we missing in our thought? And so I will miss having Mr. Blaylock here. If you understand the code, this purple book that many of us understand way too well tells us how to do almost everything that we do in this room. And what the code tells us when we have a entity appointee stepping down is that the entities, and they've already been notified, they have up to 45 days to send in a name of a nominee to fill that position, and then this board has up to 5 days at the end of that process to elect out of that list somebody to replace the person stepping down. Mr. Blaylock's stepping down with 2 years left in his term, so we'll be filling a 2-year term, and so that's the process that's underway right now, which will lead to a special meeting that we will have sometime around the 30th or 31st of December to have that vote amongst this body. And so heads up to all the board members, you will be getting a notification about a meeting at that time once we know the exact date, and it'll all depend upon when the nominations come through. When I say they have up to 45 days, I would encourage the entities to get your nomination in sooner than later. It allows this board to make a decision sooner than later. If you push us all the way to the end, we will be having a New Year's Eve meeting, and whether any of us up here like that or not. But I just want to say thank you to Mr. Blaylock. I'll give you a moment if you'd like.
So it's been a genuine pleasure to serve the taxpayer on this board.
We've gone through some very challenging times with, the hacking issue, the ransomware issue, this CAMA conversion that's going on. It's not been a dull moment since I started, but I think we've done a lot of good things. I'm excited for this board. I'm excited for the way they work together and how they're going to continue. And I'm also quite excited for my new opportunity in Austin. And so I'm hopeful that I make it there. Rick, thank you. Everyone on the board, thank you so much for being good friends, good board members, and just working so hard to make things better for everybody. Appreciate you all.
I've often said on boards, you don't always have to like everybody on the board, but you do have to work with everybody on the board. And so there's a lot of people up here I like and a lot of people I'm willing to work with in many, many ways. And Mr. Blaylock's one of those that gets both of those. So thank you. The next thing on the agenda, we got some informational items to go through. So first one is the year-end report from the Taxpayer Liaison. Dr. McIlvaine, welcome.
Thank you. Sending regards certainly to you, Chairman Barnes, distinguished board members, certainly to our Chief Appraiser, Mr. Bobbitt. One of my favorite leadership mantras, of which there are many, is that transition times can be the toughest. And you all have certainly weathered some storms in a creative fashion. And I can see that in some of the data that I've been massaging here lately. We get a sense of a big picture from a long-term report. I call it a cumulative report, or the comptroller's delight in being a little bit facetious about what it is we're assembling. We do this to look at the pros and cons of what we do in a seasonal basis from January 1st in a report that's to be submitted in December of 2025. Getting a sense of the big picture helps us appreciate the frequency and the distribution of some of the qualitative items in the data. And as we submit this report in December, some concerns may emerge, but I want to be the first person to say that one of the things you have done as a CAD is to fine-tune, and really you know that I work with the ARB, and so one of my true tests, one of my hot topics is how is this CAD addressing the needs of the ARB in terms of holding fine-tuned hearings, not having a taxpayer step in and say, I don't know too much about my exemption, what can you tell me about that? That's not really a chairman of a hearing's delight to hear that, because that's an unfocused hearing. Your process is not going in the right direction when you're having to hold a session like this. With your electronic efforts and your very focused informal sessions, you have been able to fine-tune for the most part for the ARB so that they can do their very special work. And they are very appreciative. I'd also like to thank the directors involved, and especially, of course, the service desk for their being what I call the utilitarian outfielders of catching all catches, no matter what shape, form they're lobbied to them in. They have to be the utilitarian problem solvers along with the directors, and there's excellent work being done here. I won't take much more time other than to mention on the frequency and distribution information. The highest frequency area is no surprise. That is your over 65 queries. And part of that is because that varies by community. You can't tell someone on the phone that their funds are going to be frozen and that it's according to community. That has to be highly fine-tuned for them. And so that helps them as I know, Mr. Barnes, you said, you'd heard from some senior citizens. They like to know in detail, and that is highly detailed according to community. And so that's one of the, I think that's one of the qualities that brings the over 65 exemption to the point of the spear as far as numbers and kinds of questions, of course. Then, of course, people have questions about their homestead. Sometimes those are removed because of trust or deed activity, and people are very upset when they notice that it's been removed. Sometimes they think it's for a whim. Actually, sometimes it's for their own activity, but that can be quickly straightened out, but at the moment, it's a moment of panic for them. So that, along with the over 65, that's a close second place as far as the regularity of inquiries. And then, goodness, right here on the edge of Veterans Day, our disability inquiries are quite frequent and quite detailed. Those applications are often our most sincere and our most needy in making sure that they are getting the level of disability requests that they have. But for the most part, I believe that is happening. Then comes one of our favorite times of year. This happens more in of course, April and May, is protest information. Again, should they hire an agent? And as you know, we're seeing quite a bit of aggressive marketing on the part of some of our agents here lately. And whether that's good or that's bad, people are very much enamored with thinking that might be a good idea to hire an agent. I was asked several times, was I an agent, and could I help them through their hearing? And of course, the answer was no. But it was interesting that they thought I would be a very good ally for them, and I found a note of humor with that. Also, extremely important is just the nuts and bolts of miscellaneous information, name changes, address changes, spelling corrections, and all the kinds of things that are the greatest detail, but also extremely important. That follows the protest information and regularity. And then often there are mineral and commercial concerns, and that again is handled by some excellent directives from our staff. All of this to say, as this report goes in, I think that it shows an organization working very well internally. Certainly from the ARB perspective, that is evident to me. My thanks again for demonstrating the capability of the staff and direction. And again, Mr. Bobbitt and Mr. Barnes, that falls to your leadership, of course, of this appraisal district. Whether or not there's a special meeting due to entity selection on the 31st, I know that you are ready, willing, and able to fulfill those obligations, and that is appreciated by the public. I can see that. I'm, along with you, Mr. Barnes, I see a resilience in the public as they interact with me, and they have no reason to be appreciative of my efforts, but many of them are quite appreciative of just a minimal amount of help at times. And that's amazing. If you've worked in public service for a lifetime, as I have, that's sometimes quite unusual. And I don't know what you've found, Mr. Barnes, but that's an element of appreciation that we can all dwell on. And that says a job well done. Thank you so much. And again, thanks for providing me the opportunity to look at the big picture and provide some analysis for you.
Questions, comments?
Good report.
Pardon me?
It was a good report.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for what you do. I think this is a government operation, and government has a tendency to do everything they can to make everything as confusing as they possibly can.
At times,
And so therefore, they need agents to help them understand confusion.
well,
So-
and yes, when they asked me to be their agent, they didn't understand why I didn't want to do that.
Yep,
Thank you for your time.
thank you. All right, next thing is the report chief appraiser, Mr. Bobbitt.
Good morning. Wait for it to pull up on the screen.
It's loading.
Remember when technology was being invented and we thought it would make everything easier and faster?
Perfect.
Well, while it loads, I want to start off with the conversion update. So right now, we believe the conversion is going really well. A taxable value from Aumentum to True Prodigy is within $75 countywide for any entity. It's actually, I think, as of this week, it was down to $67. And so that's less than 25 cents in total taxes. And we have that narrowed down pretty much to mineral accounts, which there's a whole lot of $0 or very small dollar mineral accounts that are floating around. There's like 1.3 million of them. And so we have that narrowed down to within $67. The total number of properties balances between the two systems. The number and amount of exemptions also balance, and I know that was a concern with the conversion last time. We're also able to successfully export to the tax office our roll from True Prodigy, and so we're already light years ahead of where we were the last conversion. Normally with a conversion, once you take the system live, the appraisal system live, that's when you start to work at the tax office and try to work out all the bugs. We've already basically accomplished one of our major goals before we even go live. So we're excited about the success we're seeing so far. That doesn't mean we're done. There's still a lot of stuff that we have to do, and there's a lot of work that my staff are still doing. We'll continue, the actual conversion process will not end until we certify the roll next year. And then we'll have a follow-up discussion as far as like what all do we learn, lessons learned, what do we need to go back and refine, review. And so it'll be a full over a year process before we finally call it done. But at the moment, the numbers math, and so we're really excited to see that part. And the processes that the staff have to do, that we give reports to entities and to the public, a lot of that is a whole lot simpler than what it was in the prior system, and so it should cut back on just the man hours we have like a team of 20 people that have to QC the entire process every time we send a roll to the tax office right now, and that's kind of unheard of in the industry. But that's just kind of where we're at, and so we're looking forward to using those people to do other fun things and further move the process forward. This is an example from August 29th, and so all the red were numbers that didn't match. And then if you move to the next slide, this is where we're at now. So all the market value, the property counts, that all matches for all the entities. And then you can see on the far right, the difference in taxable value is the highest one was $75 on October 31st. And so like I said, it's down to $67 now. And so that we think that's, it's not perfect. We're still working on it, but it's really, really close. And just an update on the timeline. So the 2025 conversion will go live. We'll turn it on January 29th. And so that'll be the current or the prior year, 2025. And then 2026 will go live on February 24th. Then we'll bring in all the historical years on March 3rd. The valuation and pricing models will go live on March 10th. We're already, basically phase 4 through 7, we're already working on. The staff are already making a lot of efforts to getting the system, the pricing models in, the web portal set up, and even appraisal notices kind of figured out. So we're trying to step ahead because we have one group of guys that's more conversion, SQL oriented, and they're doing conversion of data. Then we have another group of people that's doing validation, and another group of people that are working on just process review and how the process is going to change from one system to the next. So we have a different set of people that are working on the next phases. And I think that's it for that.
So while we're here, any questions, board members, on the conversion?
Yeah, you know, I wasn't here at the last meeting, but you mentioned it, Rick. We have an interesting situation where, you know, it's no small task to make this conversion, and our number one customer sits on this board. And, you know, Rick, from your perspective, step down as chairman and as tax assessor collector, how are we doing?
Well, so I've reported to this body a few times that at one point the tax office was extremely frustrated with the process. It felt like it was way behind. There was absolutely no way we thought it was going to get done in time for what we had to have. And so we have been hosting meetings in the county of IT specialists and principals from various areas on the conversation about this conversion, as well as with the folks from out here. And have been on top of it, watching it constantly to make sure that we're good. We have people in my office, on my staff, that understand how we use it well enough to understand whether it's working, and then they're working directly with Mr. Bobbitt and his team. So we're comfortable with where we are today. I asked every Monday at our Monday morning leadership meeting if we're comfortable with where we are as of that moment, and we finally hit a comfort level about a month ago, about 3 weeks ago. And so for 3 weeks in a row, they've said we're comfortable. Part of that, though, and I'll also recognize people that are sitting up here, Mr. Blaylock, Mr. Bryant, Mr. Campos, have all three been very involved in oversight of this process from the board perspective as well. Frankly, we're making sure that there's some history in this building that's not positive when it comes to this process, and I'm not sure that relates to any current staffers or not, but we weren't going to wait and find out that it was, and find out the hard way that we have a serious problem moving forward. And so we've all chipped in, board members here, staff members in the tax office, and then the adequate staff here that's been working on it, and I think we're all coming together. True Prodigy has also stepped up and helped dramatically from their side. Once we went to the position, once we went to the position of handing more over to them and letting them do their job, it moved pretty rapidly at that point. This all started before I was sitting here and before most of us were sitting in these seats, and there was a time period early on, I guess, when the board requested that the budget be dropped for this on Mr. Bobbitt. And when that budget got lowered, it dramatically and negatively affected the process. That board before us, frankly, I think made a bad decision in lowering the budget. This is not something that you price out. You need to price it in. It needs to go the other direction. And so there's a lot of lessons to be learned, I think, by all of us on this. And if we ever did it again, there's two things I would recommend we never, ever do. One is that we never, ever cut the budget on getting it done, but we also never, ever, ever do it during a legislative year. Because that has also caused additional conversations as we move out of that legislative year. That said, the thing that we're replacing was a total train wreck mess of a process, and we needed to do something immediately. I could not, in any conscience, recommend that group to any other tax office or TAD office in the entire anywhere, and I don't think any of our current staff would do that either. So it's been a good move. We're finally where we're very, very comfortable with how things are going. To answer your question.
Thanks.
Thank you, John. Go ahead.
On the next item is the quarterly investment report. And at the last meeting, we asked for authorization to move into tax pool. And so that is a state investment pool. And so we'll be moving the CD from EECU into the tax pool. I believe it's already actually done. So that money's been transferred. And later in the investment report, or the investment policy that y'all will be reviewing, we're removing EECU and adding tax pool in its place for that policy going forward.
Question I have on this one is on where it is on EECU, it shows no growth there in third quarter, and yet it went through to 10/31, or is it truly nothing?
It should have had a growth, 'cause the interest rate was 4.8%.
We signed off on this report, and this report then is incorrect.
I'll have to validate.
Okay. Yeah, please do, because I think as board members, we want to see that we're making money on our money that we give to a bank to make money with, and this shows no income.
Okay. And the last item is the economic development stars we received for transparency stars. We received the economic development. I believe we are the only appraisal district that has received this. Mainly we're putting, for all the different transparency pages, we're putting information regarding the TIFs and the different economic zones that the entities have adopted. And we're putting information out there regarding those and the information that we have to process. So it kind of gives an idea to the public kind of what all goes on with those economic incentives that come through property tax.
Yep.
So I'm actually really proud of this. One of the things we came into on this board was a perception of a lack of transparency with the public. And so I asked the board to consider, and we gave directive to the entity to pursue these transparency metrics as defined by the Comptroller's Office on what good governance looks like, what transparent and open governance looks like. Kicked this process off here, and I kicked it off at the City of Fort Worth. Both entities are well on their way to full compliance with the Transparency Star program. So I want to just thank Joe Don and the team for a job well done in getting us this far. It's been great, and in time, I think it'll be very beneficial to the public to see.
Yes, sir. If y'all haven't looked at the website, the staff have done an outstanding job compiling information and putting it in a readable format. So they've done an outstanding job, and it's really kind of interesting to look at. There's two left, financial transparency and I forget what the sixth one is. What is it?
Procurement.
Oh, procurement. So basically purchasing and finance. And so those two we'll move forward with and get those hopefully at least by the first quarter next year. But we're trying to work on them right now to get those awarded.
And for clarity, once this is completed, I mean, the checkbook is going to be published online. You don't have to do information requests or anything else to see where everything goes in TAD anymore.
Yes, sir.
That's the end of his report. Any other questions, comments from anybody? All right, thank you. Committee reports, budget, Rigney's out, IT, Blaylock.
I think we've talked quite a bit about the CAMA conversion. I will say, when we signed the contract, to initiate this process with True Prodigy, everyone felt high comfort levels in achieving compliance and getting the system converted and moving forward in a timely manner. As we progressed, it became obvious that that was not what was occurring, that we were getting behind. So as a board, we put great efforts into clearing roadblocks, quite honestly, and helping staff get the resources and the cooperation they need, not just here, but Chairman Barnes at the Tax Assessor's Office with True Prodigy and external contractors to help make this get done and get done in a timely manner. And I think those changes and those efforts have greatly facilitated the team. And so I think in large part what we have done as a board has really helped to ensure we get back on track and move forward. So thank you all.
Thank you. Mr. Bryant, you have anything?
We have no new information at this time.
Okay. Public comments. We have a number of speakers. First one to speak is George Dotson.
Break it to start with. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see, good to be here. I appreciate, do you need my name? George Dodson, Colleyville. I appreciate what's happened and the report is very good about the conversion. I thank the board for allowing me to join the IT committee a couple of years ago. It's been a joy to work with Alan. I appreciate Alan's leadership and willingness to listen and to ask questions, because questions are the key to figuring out what was going on. And as Alan mentioned, several of us on the committee could see that there was no way we were going to make the schedule. Also, we learned, and I didn't realize this early on, that if we didn't get the conversion done, the board would have had to pay another $1 million to continue to work with our old system. So it was an impossible situation. I thank the board for stepping up and adding the additional staff that was absolutely required. there was no way that this could have been done, in my opinion, without the additional staff and additional skills that were brought on board. And I also agree with Alan that because the contract was shortened, the contract was reduced. That reduction was really for the conversion, and it just didn't work out. That didn't work out. We needed the people to do it. Anyone that's done a database conversion can tell you that it's very complex. This is way more complex because the system was developed in California with totally different different names for everything. Anyway, I appreciate very much, as I said, the opportunity to work on that committee. I'm very, very happy that the conversion is going as it is, and look forward to seeing the other positive things to happen. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you. Barbara Payne. Just hold it, that's fine.
Just
Yep.
might as well talk to you guys. I just want to say that I'm not pleased with the new program. There are probably a lot of people like me, but I am a 79-year-old woman, a widow, a property owner in Tarrant County since '89, a homeowner since '96, and I changed the ownership on my property. I gave it to my daughter with a life estate in October of last year. The computer didn't pick up the fact that I still owned the property. Nobody sent me a letter saying, hey, come down to the office and tell us what's going on in your property. You did that when my husband died in May of 22. And I was quite surprised last week when I got a property tax bill for $7,428.42. And my property tax last year had been $1,724.78. Believe me, I brought my tax bill right down here and I said, what's going on? And they said, oh, your property ownership changed and we didn't send out any letters, but you no longer have your over 65 and you no longer have a homeowner exemption. So I filled out the paperwork and I have a couple of choices. Believe me, I went to the sub-courthouse in Colville. I went to the downtown where you pay your taxes and make arrangements for payments. You can't make arrangements on payment of your taxes unless they're delinquent. My property tax would have gone February 1st from 74 to 79. If I didn't want to spend $7,400, I sure didn't want to spend almost $8,000. So my comment is, you need to have the process a little faster, because now I have to go and pay half of this $7,428 by November the 30th in order to not be delinquent on my taxes. But if you'd sent me a letter saying, hey, come in and talk about this, I would still be paying $1,724 in taxes. So you didn't get any complaints, Mr. Barnes, from me, and probably not a lot of other people in Fort Worth, because we didn't know that we didn't have exemptions until we got the tax bill. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys can fix this.
Thank you. Daniel Bennett.
Daniel Bennett, White Settlement. Ms. Payne's experience is not unique. I know, stretch the imagination now. I want to talk to you about past board since Mr. Barnes brought it up. This past boards, chaired by Pompa, O'Donnell, and Pothoff, and now it's you, but you're not a past board. Everything that's occurred up till now has been because of them being inattentive and giving the chief appraiser a broad brush. I go right down the list, and the longest serving member is board sitting right there. All the way from the Michael Sabatson incident, where a felony was committed and handled by the administration in a way that I thought was inappropriate, to having been hacked January of 2021 3 times. That was ignored. And I can go on and on and on. There was no sense of urgency ever because Mr. Law was following the law. Famous quote by our former tax assessor collector. We had an attorney here being paid $32,370 a month. That wasn't an issue. Thank you, Mr. Bobbitt, sending her on her merry way. And I'm thankful for Mr. Tepper. Excellent choice. Even to this day, that's probably the only good choice I think that the past board's made, just so you know, Mr. Tepper. In an innumerable number of issues, episodically on the elections. This 200 vote thing wasn't something that just occurred. And then we have Mr. Cryle, who's communicates with Mr. Bobbitt, and instead of going to his superior, which would have been the chair of the board had he been on this board, he went to a subordinate. Mr. Barnes, would you tell a subordinate, if you were in a commercial, in the real world, that there was an issue, would you go to your boss? You go to your boss. Poor judgment. That's all it is. It's poor judgment. It created a lot of problems by him not doing that. And I think he's unsuited for this board because of his actions. He may be a good fireman, but if Drew over here writes something wrong, he doesn't go to another reporter. He goes to Chris Cobbler, Fort Worth Report. He owns the paper. He's the guy. That's where you go with it. So there's other things to be said, but I want to just stress that, yes, the past boards have misstepped. And Mr. Blaylock, I want to thank you. I had questions about you, but they were dissolved. And I want to thank you for your time you spent on this board. I want to thank Mr. Dodson and you two working together communicatively, and I appreciate how far we are along, and you're responsible for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Chandler Crouch.
What just happened?
Don't waste getting
What?
new people. Don't waste getting new customers.
Free.
I
Free.
understand that.
Here's the problem. The reason why I just gave her my name and number, said I might be able to help, is because the problem that she mentioned is a problem that we're seeing over and over, and it's indicative of the system itself. It's not Mr. Barnes' fault. It's not Mr. Bobbitt's fault. It's the system. And so as we deal with these problems, whether it's a botched vote count or whether it's the reappraisal plan and the effect that it might have on Castleberry, and Ms. Faulkner sitting right here, she wants to speak, I'd be happy to yield my time, by the way. Is that possible?
No.
Okay. All right. So didn't think so, but I thought I'd check. But what's going on here is we're all affected by this system in different ways. There's problems all over the place. And when we seek out to solve a problem and ignore who it might affect negatively on the other side, then it's short-sighted. You might be able to take a step in one direction and get something done that's going to help a certain group of people, but we have to consider the effect on others. And so this is a situation with the problem of exemptions disappearing where it's going to happen. There's going to be issues where exemptions disappear. It's absolutely tragic. It's not acceptable. But then when the problem comes to his attention, they fix the issue, then they report it to the tax assessor, then there's a gap there. And there's not, and the person that pays the price is the homeowner. And it takes leadership standing up saying, look, here's a problem. Here's a problem that we have to solve. And it's something that needs to be brought to the surface. And I think that we're seeing that all over the place with all of these issues, is that there are problems in the system that have to be addressed. And the folks in this room are doing their level best to try and solve those problems. Whether it's a problem with the property tax code in general, the reappraisal plan, and people in this room, whether I agree or not, trying to come up with a solution on how to fix the reappraisal frequency. You know, I've made my opinions and thoughts on that pretty well known. But all of the efforts were in an effort to help taxpayers and better the system. With the botched vote thing, you pointed out so many problems in the system itself. Any system where it rewards the taxing entities for taxing its citizens more with additional power is a screwed up thing at its fundamental level, but it's not the responsibility of anybody in this room However, you're taking it upon yourself to say, I'm recognizing this issue and rising it to the surface because you're a leader and you're doing that. And so all I ask for, whether it's the botched vote, the reappraisal plan, or the situation with like what is affecting people whose exemptions are going missing, is to take these issues, put them on the table, realize that the effect of, in one area, there's unintended consequences in another, and it's usually the system itself that needs to be corrected. And we can't just focus on one aspect and let somebody else receive the damage over here. We have to think about it holistically. It's an earnest pursuit of the truth, operating with wisdom, temperance to do the right thing, and I appreciate the time. Thanks.
Thank you. Syeda Syed.
Syeda Syed, resident of Colleyville. Good evening, board and Mr. Bobbitt. I would like to make a comment about the property taxes that people like me who are not having 65 and over exemption, our property tax in Colleyville goes up. It's not going down. So with that, I would like to say back in October 16, I talk about the overvoting at TCC. The same night, I talk at Forward ISD, Arlington ISD. Very next day, I got a phone call from Chairman Barnes' office. Very next day, October 20th, I met with him and gave him the information that I had at that time. My intention was always to fix the system, and our system, the appraisal district functions should be a system-oriented, not a person-oriented. There is some issues that I would like to address. Thank goodness we are having a good CAMA conversion, but back in July, during the entity meeting, appraisal district promised and make the comment that October meeting for entities, and it's a closed-door meeting I'm talking about, would be a training session for the new software to all the entities employed. But somehow, 2 weeks before that meeting, I got an email that we do not have anything to share with the entities, and at this moment, we are canceling that meeting. And if necessary, we'll schedule later in time. It's been over a month. I did not hear about that. Same thing happened in April as well, when I got the postcard, and I was surprised why I got the postcard instead of a notice. And I talk about that at Arlington Subcourt House. There was a property appraisal town hall to chief appraiser. And he mentioned that, well, there is a computer glitch, and some of the very small subsection of the resident got the postcard instead of the letter. Figured out it's more than 22,000 residents. And if it's over 22,000, it's not the small amount of residential accounts. And then for the very first time, appraisal district sent the notice along with the apology note, but taxing entity still did not get any apology note, whatever happened in 2024 election. I would say, please send something to acknowledge that's the mistake done by appraisal district, and we apologize on whoever's behalf. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. There's nothing below that.
Let me refresh it.
Okay, thank you. That's the end of the public comments. We'll move to consent agenda. I've got a few items I want pulled from the consent, and so I will want us to talk about C, D, and G separately. So items C, D, and G. The rest of the consent agenda is there. Does the board members have anything about any of those and/or a motion to accept the rest of the consent?
I
I
have
have
a question.
absolutely no clue what's going on because
Oh, I'm sorry, I
mine
meant to
logged
actually
out.
ask.
I can't see
Something's
anything.
wrong.
I haven't been able to see anything.
It's a tech
for
thing.
The last couple, so.
Eric, is yours working?
His was not working at the same time mine stopped working and then his
That's what I
caught
thought.
up.
Yeah, I
But
saw
then
y'all doing
mine's
something.
logged out and I don't know.
Meanwhile, I have a question
Yes, ma'am.
on the minutes,
Yes.
not the content, but at the very end, on the minutes,
It just.
for September 10th,
No. Totally.
as normal, it has at the bottom of that, the signature for the board chair and the board secretary. But on the minutes for November 3rd, it now has the board chair, the board secretary, and the chief appraiser. What happened that made that change?
Okay, thank you.
Julie, sorry. What-
You pulled C and D.
So on the agenda,
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, on the minutes, one of them shows, I don't know why the chief appraiser would ever sign off on our minutes.
He's on the November 3rd.
It's probably just an old template. We can remove his
Yeah,
signature
the
line.
chief appraiser, those are our minutes, not the chief's minutes, so
Okay.
we'll fix that. Any other questions, though, are you good, Wendy? Caught up?
So you're wanting to,
I'm gonna pull from consent, whatever I said. C, D, and G. C, D, and G.
C, D, and G.
C, D, and G.
I just should have just printed all 5
If
million
there-
pages.
If everybody's okay with the rest of the consent, I'd accept a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
I'll make that motion.
It's been moved that we accept the consent agenda with C, D, and G removed. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Oh, I'm sending
All
you the vote.
opposed?
Are we not?
Or wait, are we waiting on this?
I just sent you the vote.
And I am so far behind here because I use paper.
I just hit the hand. I don't
Here.
know that I voted for something.
Yeah, I didn't get it yet.
Oh,
There was nothing that came up. I just hit
It
the
hasn't come
hand.
up yet? Okay, let's
I
go.
mean, and Rick had us
You
all
are
the
still
way to
back
the
at
wedding
public
altar.
comments, and it should be live. I wonder if you've lost. Let me go, you need to
I know. Right.
So you voted without question.
No.
On my end, it says it's sent to you, so let me know if you see the pop-up.
Mine just says current part.
We do not.
There
So
we go.
can we,
Okay, that's.
can we do it manually?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir,
so
absolutely.
the motion is to approve consent with C, D, and G removed, and there's a second. Is all in favor, say aye. All
I made the
opposed?
motion. I think.
Yes, I've got
Motion
that.
carries. All right, let's move then to C. The C is action regarding approval for Chief Appraisal to renew contract for Geographic Information System Consulting Services. Is that in anybody else's packet?
Let's see.
Which item? Are we
It was
on
in it
C?
whenever I was at home,
Thank you.
but mine still says we're on public comments still. And so does his.
You may need to refresh.
Is there any questions on this one then?
Oh, now the vote came up.
I'm going to vote for.
I did too.
Mine
Alright.
came up for G.
Yeah, I got one for G, but we aren't ready to do that even.
I know.
We're on C. Is there any questions or comments on C? I see it on here. I didn't see it in my print. So is there any questions on item C? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve C. It's been moved that we approve. I'll second it.
I'm sorry, who was the motion? Mr. Blaylock? Yes, sir, thank you.
Alan, give Fred the second.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Julie?
Yes, sir.
D, action regarding adoption of a fiscal year 2026 investment policy. I've just got some questions about that. Let me find where my questions are.
Let's just freaking.
So Julie, do I just cancel
Just-
the vote in progress on G?
Yes, sir, and try
Yeah,
hitting the
can-
refresh button on the top left, the circle, and see if it'll bring you back to current. Also, if you, at the bottom, there's a blue band that says live meeting in progress. If you click that after you refresh, it should take you to where we are in the meeting.
All right, on D, is everybody there now? Did you have the band at the bottom? Not even that? Hit the arrow on the far left side of that band. Oh, never mind. That doesn't help.
If all else fails, we could go to the tad.org and pull it up
There-
on the
You have
public.
You have the full packet PDF pulled up on the Adobe icon at the bottom of your laptop,
I'm just saying, if
too.
it's not working, there is another avenue in which to get it.
Well, I think their website, their internet's not working either. Like the Wi-Fi's not connecting.
Fred, you got it? Yeah, I got it. Matt, you have it?
I don't know what I have.
I have it.
Yeah.
I think because
Yes.
they signed you out and signed you back in.
Wendy, you good yet?
I think
Eric?
it looks like everybody got dropped and they're all gonna have to sign back in.
All right, just a couple of questions I have on the investment, what's it called? Investment policy. Under responsibility and standard of care, B, capital B, little a, it says that accordingly, the investment officers, and so the investment officers are the chief appraiser and who?
The administrative director and then deputy also.
Okay. It says that you must attend at least one training session related to their responsibilities. Just asking if that training session's been done.
Yes, sir.
And we've all attended and everybody's, okay. And then down a little bit further, the disclosure of any members of the board of directors that are related to any part of that. Has there been any disclosures?
That's an annual disclosure requirement. And so as long as you don't have a contract or 10% ownership of anything we invest in, which would be unlikely.
We've received no disclosures.
So that's a question, yeah, we don't have any disclosure setting. And then I was happy to see that EECU is removed from the list of approved investment pools. With all, those are my questions. Is there any other questions on the policy? With that, I'll move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve that. Are we waiting on electronic vote or are we manually voting?
Manual.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. G, action regarding renewal of the annual CoStar suite. Or, what's it called?
Yes, sir, CoStar.
CoStar.
This is data that we use for commercial properties.
Yeah, so I just got some interest. Where's this company located?
I do not know. Do you know, William?
No, Irving rings a bell, but I don't think I know. They could be national, somewhere else.
I'm always very curious about where companies are that we work with, and we live in the third largest county in the state of Texas. We ought to be doing our business in in our county, if we can. We can't always, but we ought to try. But then it has some interesting comments in it that they say that they are the sole provider of commercial real estate information, analytics, and online marketplaces. Really?
Maybe in their opinion. There are several sources that we use that we get data from.
Yeah, I thought it was awful bold, an awfully bold statement that they would be the sole. But then they throw in another fun line on the start of the second paragraph that said, like Dallas County, and they don't even spell county, but like Dallas Count Appraisal District and Collin County Appraisal District, as if, we cautiously say this, as if we care about what's going on in Dallas County or Collin County, in Tarrant County. I'm not understanding what their point is here. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Members of the commercial real estate and related business community require daily access to current, like those do, somebody else does. Who are the members? Because then on the back, it also says the rate is related to 16 users. So does that imply that they have the 16 users, and if one user dropped out, does that rate go up?
The 16 users is our cost, like our staff that have access to their system.
So it's 6, okay, that makes a lot of difference, say it that way, okay. Anybody else have any questions on this one? I just think it's really fun when we're working with somebody that thinks they're so good, they're the only people that do what they do. If not, I'll move for approval.
And I believe we can do this one electronically. I think we're all signed back in, so.
I'll move approval of this. Is there a second? It's been seconded by Ms. Burgess.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor, vote apparently. This is the one that was popping up earlier. Did you get it? Did everybody now get it except me?
I believe the two of you that made the motion are not, I can manually put yours
All right,
in
please
as
do.
4.
Oh, got it. Oh, it carried, never mind.
Yep. No, I manually did it because you made the motion in the second.
I mean, since I seconded that.
Unbelievable. Do we have comments on action items?
This is meeting minutes, comments. And then legal consent, council contract. So these are the consent agenda items, each individual item.
You guys were wanting to speak on a consent items? Yes, sir.
Because it looks like most of y'all signed up for every consent agenda item.
That's why, that's kind of what I thought you said. So we're on action item number 5A, action on requested waiver of penalty and interest for late allocation payment from City of Forest Hill. We do have comments. Man, y'all signed up for, like, did y'all just like check every box there is? Okay, Forest Hill, the first one to speak is George Dodson. No. Barbara Payne. Thank you. Yeah? No? Yep. Daniel Bennett. Thank you.
Daniel Bennett.
Thank you, yep.
I want to speak to this item because it speaks to the very culture of TAD. There's two things that I tried to fix when I first started this. When we met on February 12th, that was what, 5 days after you took your office? We had almost 16 elected officials in the room. And you didn't know there was 20 people on the QC team. You didn't know a QC team existed, plus 10 others. On Menem team, it was 30. And she paid, her school district paid for 5 to 7 years for 30 people not doing their job. That's the culture of TAD. And everybody was quiet, all the former board members except for 2, Mr. Diot and Mr. Lasada. Everybody else was stoic, dismissive, and sat there and did nothing. That's the culture of TAD. Now, let's fast forward to now. This money that we're going to forgive, I like Stephanie, the mayor. I don't have any ill will against Forest Hill. But this speaks to the culture of TAD. This went on for years. Even Brad Patrick goes, well, this is how we do it. Well, it was a political ploy. It was political will to forbear and forgive 100 days past due. She just told you she can't do that. She has to give half of $7,000, or she's going to lose her home. She's been since '79. Where's her forgiveness? The culture of TAD. Okay? So what I want to see on this item is what Matt Bryant, Director Bryant said. You screwed up, didn't pay, you're done. That's the rules she's under. Ms. Payne, would you like to step up and talk about the rules that she has to do, that you're going to give to Forest Hill, potentially? No. And that, how many times I come back on the agenda for all the prior ones that we forgave? It was like a bad penny. Like Dave Lieber called Randy Armstrong Randy Armstrong called Dave Lieber a bad penny. Heck, he shows up everywhere. This forbearance is a bad penny. We need to put the dagger into the heart of this beast and stop this. Let's treat Ms. Payne and the entities equally. Uniform and equal treatment of the taxing entities, the taxpayer. That's all we're asking for from this board. That's a culture change. That's somewhere we've never been. I spoke to you at day one. And you were hired to do that. Not to do what Eric Cryle did and you did. That's not being transparent and accountable. Whatever happens to you should happen to him, right? You're in the same instance, same seat. Here we got Forest Hill. I didn't even look to see how much money it was. It could be $1. It could be $1 million. I don't care. Uniform and equal. Let's stop this picking and choosing of winners and follow the property tax code. That's what's important here. That's all Ms. Payne is asking for. So let's treat Ms. Payne today and Forest Hill the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Crouch? Pass. Mr. Crowell? Pass. Sayed? Pass. Renee Smith Faulkner? Pass. Thank you. All right, back to the agenda item. Any questions, comments, or motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Yeah, go ahead.
I move that we reject the waiver request for the city of Forest Hill.
It's been moved that we decline the request. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. Any discussion? Are we ready to vote online with this?
I'm about to send it.
I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead. I need a button.
Thank you.
that blows my screen red when somebody's raising their hand. Go ahead.
Well, you know I always hold my hand up,
Right.
so.
Go ahead.
I would like to, let's see, today, November 12th, 2025, to be a banner day, and Mr. Bennett can write down the date in his calendar when he and I agree on something, because I said it in the past, and I'm agreeing with Mr. Bennett, because I believe that there must be uniformity and everyone should be treated equally and should be treated like the taxpayer that is sitting in yes, ma'am. And I think that an attorney owes you, they owe you more than they gave you. But that's another subject. But I think everyone should be treated the same, and unfortunately, they're not being treated the same. And I agree that that this should not be passed.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Good grief, am I going to have to refresh every single time for this to work? Julie, vote no for me, please.
Vote for.
I mean, for.
You're a yes.
For denying.
Yes, thank you. I'm just never connected to the internet.
Mr. Blaylock, are you able?
Can you vote?
Are you able? I don't see your vote coming through, Mr. Blaylock.
He voted.
And can you tell me your vote, because it's not coming through?
I voted for.
Okay. Thank you.
Just did it again and again. It passed. No, wait.
Okay.
I guess it passed, did it?
Yes.
4 passed, yes. All right, next thing on the agenda, discussion and possible action to authorize Chief Appraiser to negotiate an agreement with Enterprise Fleet For auto lease and management services, including notifying entities of budget amendment for additional line item for leased vehicles. We do have speakers on this one.
Yes. And then we also have the people from Enterprise here. Do you want the public to go first?
Go ahead and share, go ahead and share your, go ahead, come on up. Tell us who you are and,
Chairman, Board, thank you for having me today. My name is Jennifer Bertram, Senior Account Executive with Enterprise Fleet Management. I'm going to walk you through kind of what the appraisal district today is doing as it relates to transportation reimbursement for the appraisers and what we're proposing in terms of implementing vehicles for the business use that they are currently being reimbursed and the potential savings. So for a lot of government entities in this space, they're essentially providing an allowance today that's supposed to cover the business use of the appraisers when they're out in the field. The reason that we are looking at a proposed change to this model is because it's very expensive. Today, on average, we're reimbursing, depending on the position, around $10,000 per year per appraiser. Which is supposed to cover the business use, but it is very expensive. So what we are proposing is to implement a company-provided vehicle that would be here on site that would allow them to check out the vehicle, do their job, bring it back, and it's going to save the appraisal district quite a bit of money, which we'll get to here in a second. To why they're getting reimbursed for any of the business use is because there is extra wear and tear on their personal vehicle today. And so the allowance is a very common practice within appraisal districts. If you look at what that costs today, that $10,000 per employee breaks out to be about 67 cents per mile, based on the average annual mileage around 15,000 miles a year. And so what we've seen as it relates and correlates with the IRS rate, which is also in place to reimburse drivers for using a vehicle for business use, again, if it's their personal vehicle, we keep seeing that IRS rate go up. Now it's at 70 cents a mile. So where we are in terms of current expense today for the appraisal district, we're almost at the top of what the IRS would propose. And what we know is that's very expensive. It's not sustainable long-term. Next slide, please. This just shows the example of the actual data that was provided to us. So for the 49 drivers, the expense today is about $490,000 or over a 5-year period. And in our analysis, we're comparing a 5-year term of around $2.4 million to provide this allowance to each driver. Next slide, please. So through some analysis, we went through different vehicle categories, whether it be a compact, mid-sized vehicle, or potentially truck. We wanted to look at the total cost of ownership. What could we implement that would drive down the spend if we were to implement a vehicle? The recommendations that the committee had provided was that they did want it to be American-made. So the most cost-effective option to implement would be the Toyota Corolla, but it is not made here. The Toyota Camry is a foreign manufacturer, but it is produced in America, in Kentucky. And then the Ford Maverick obviously being a domestic option. So depending on which vehicle we implement or which the board chooses, the savings to implement company-provided vehicles in place of an allowance would be somewhere between $1.8 million and $1.5 million over that 5-year period. So Enterprise Rent-A-Car is our parent company. We manage the largest fleet in the world, just to get down to some operational piece. In our division here in fleet management, we manage 750,000 light and medium duty vehicles. So we would implement a program where we manage everything from start to finish. So the appraisal district is not responsible for trying to manage this daily. We'll help acquire those assets, fund them, manage the core operating costs, help provide recommendations on to when to resell the assets, physically sell them, and then report back the expense with annual client review year over year. So we'll handle everything from start to finish. We do have RFPs already approved through E&I, Sourcewell, and TIPS. We're currently working with City of Colleyville, City of Keller, Haltom City, City of Bedford, White Settlement, Lake Worth, quite a few within Tarrant County already, and manage more than 200 government entities within Texas. We would implement an account team that would be managing the program. So from a day-to-day perspective, if there's any questions, we've got a coordinator that's in place for the account that can handle anything from a customer service standpoint, and then a client strategy manager that looks at that spend year over year and provides recommendations on how to drive that cost down. So if there's recommendations to change the vehicle potentially or ways we can decrease operating costs going forward, we're looking at that and providing those recommendations back to staff. We would implement a fuel program and a maintenance program. All the maintenance costs would be completely fixed and budgeted. Enterprise is willing to guarantee that cost. The rate itself is based on preventative maintenance. It's going to need to happen on that vehicle anyways, but it does cover any repair that could occur. And we have the same program on Colleyville and Keller and quite a few other government entities. The fuel program allows them to go to any gas station and fill up. Again, it allows us to control the spend in a way that we have complete visibility on the cost, and also continue to drive that spend down. And I should just mention, as it relates to the maintenance, from a downtime perspective, we have mobile vendors that can even perform that preventative maintenance cost, or preventative maintenance here on site if needed, if there's a group of vehicles as they're, on the lot. So we don't have to go to a local shop. We'll help sell the assets at the end. This is one of the things that Enterprise Rent-A-Car parent company does the best. We hand sell our assets back into the market, which outpaces industry average or commercial value index by over 10%. So we'll be handling the whole process and advising on when to sell those assets back into the market to make sure that we're getting the maximum dollar for the equity at the term. From a visibility standpoint, I know transparency is very important to the appraisal district. All of the expenditure is available on the dashboard. Staff will have access to all the cost on a per unit broken out. And we have at the very bottom corner there, that's our toolkit that allows us to look at every single make and model within a category and provide a recommendation on total cost of ownership, which is going to be the lowest to operate on in any given year. And from an onboarding process, and I should just mention this from a timing standpoint, if we were to move forward with implementing a fleet in lieu of the allowance today, for the lead times, we would be recommending to factory order those assets directly from the manufacturer because they'll be the most cost effective. They'll drop ship into the local market, and then from there, we will onboard. So they'll likely arrive somewhere around May, June, when the appraisal district will be kicking back up back in the field. And then we'll be managing it throughout the year. Any questions? Julie?
All right, now, well,
Oh, yeah.
I think there's going to be lots of questions. Let's see if we have public comment before we go to questions. So, and then we'll bring you back up for questions. Mr. Dodson, you up? You have anything? Who's Barbara Payne?
Yes, I do.
Ooh, come on up.
Over the last 40 years, I purchased Enterprise used cars for myself and for my daughters because we could see the payment history, we could see the maintenance history, and we were very pleased the credit union would always loan you the full amount of the sales price on the Enterprise cars. And I worked for the SBA disaster in Hurricane Katrina, and I was in Beaumont for 10 months using SBA rented cars. So I was pleased as a consumer and as an employee using those. They were appropriately priced. Thank you.
Mr. Bennett?
Daniel Bennett, can I address what Ms. Burgess said, because she addressed me?
Sure. It's your 3 minutes.
Thank you. Well, it's not public comments, and it's a little off topic, but I was addressed. The only persons that I have seen committed to uniform and equal of the taxpayer and taxing entities, you're looking at him, and she's sitting back there in the corner. Sorry, Mark, I didn't mean to do that. I won't do it again. He told me I need to address the board, which is correct decorum. So I don't want someone to step in and steal a narrative that this board has failed to accomplish since I've been involved in this since October of 2016. Now, as far as the car rentals, I appreciate her comments. She answered a couple of my questions. But have we done an analysis of the personal vehicles? Have they put over 20,000 a year on their vehicle? Have they?
We'll come back to it.
Okay, question one. Because there's a cutoff in the contract for 120,000 over 5 years. Okay? Secondly, she just said all the cars will be kept here on premise. Take nursing homes. Take nurses. They take their car home if it's a company car. They park it on their driveway, park it in their street. But we were just told all 49 cars going to be in this parking lot. This is not a secure area. And you're going to put all the cars in one place, one hailstorm, centrally located, we're done. Now, are we going to build protective tarps for all of our cars and then build an infrastructure for security? Is that in the metrics? And we could, no, of course we haven't. So before we just dive into this, I have one more question. And I did contact my city manager while sitting here, hoping he would respond. They say they're working with the City of White Settlement. And Mr. James has not responded, neither has Mr. Young, my mayor. But in the current Tarrant County partners, White Settlement wasn't listed, not a big deal. But in the references is my question. If you look in your packet on page 3, the city of Corinth and the city of Melissa. Corinth, I think, is Dallas County, and Melissa's in Collin County? Okay. Denton County? Okay. Well, I would like to hear from Colleyville, Keller, Haltom City, Lake Worth. I want to see how they're doing in Tarrant County. And remember, these are small cities with very little mileage. This is county-wide. I don't think that 120,000, it may or may not be appropriate. But I think, Mr. Bob, on reimbursement stipends, you'll be able to answer that question.
Thank you. Chandler?
Appreciate the opportunity to speak again. I'm going to try and wrap up all of the comments I could have made into this one, but I'm going to talk exclusively about this topic here. So it's about the Enterprise company. Just want to express my appreciation for their concern for the transparency. I want to commend the appraisal district for their transparency efforts. CoStar is not as transparent. It is like the MLS for commercial properties, and all residential sales, all of those sales prices are transparent to the appraisal district. They have access to all of that, but they don't have access to the commercial sales prices. It's just the nature of the business. So I find that to be another issue with the fundamental fabric of our system here. Enterprise is transparent, so I commend them on that. But they're not local. And unlike the coffee company right down the road, Bean Coffee Company just moved in. We all need to support them because it's the first time we've seen a coffee shop come into this area. And it's a great place to meet before, after work, break times, that sort of thing. Enterprise is not local like those guys. But I will also say that quality of service matters tremendously. And if I was to go and look at rental car company reviews, consistently, Enterprise has the best reviews. So I just want to mention that. So local matters, transparency matters, but quality also matters. Bean has 5-star reviews, by the way. And let's see here. In implementing the contract with these guys, I would expect, because they've been around for a long time, they know what they're doing, I would expect something fairly close to an error-free deployment of their contract with the appraisal district. As we can see with the brand new technology that we're enjoying in this very meeting, it is not error-free. And I would expect that the errors that are going to happen inevitably with rolling out the new software system are going to happen. We should expect that. We cannot expect for the process to be error-free because it's brand new, and I just want to mention that. So operating with the wisdom, temperance, and that sort of thing. We don't have to have the same kind of patience and temperance in operating with Enterprise, I don't think, because they've been around for so long, they've kind of ironed the kinks out. And that is all I have on this agenda item. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Crowell? Nope. Syed? Nope. All right, no more public bills.
Miss Renee.
Oh, I'm sorry, roll down. Renee Smith Faulkner, nope. That's all the public speakers on this. So back to the board. Yes, sir.
Up for discussion?
Yes.
Okay. As a board member that always looks long-term for unintended consequences and for public information, Board, I want to turn your attention to an email we received from Mr. William, from staff's perspective. Again, first off, I want to say, I like this idea. I like that we're pursuing ideas that save money. I want to say that twice. But we can't do things in haste because there may be some unintended consequences that happen because of it. Things that were pointed out from staff, which are concerning to me, is that number one, which you heard Mr. Bennett say, we're not currently prepared for long-term storage. We currently don't have management in place to take care of these things. We currently have contracts in place with key employees that currently depend on this reimbursement money that have negotiated with us to be a part of it. The reason this hits home to me is because I am overly involved in the CAMA conversion, and one of those key people is significantly impacted by this. My suggestion is to slow it down. We currently don't have this in budget. I think this is not necessarily a terrible idea, but I think it needs to go into the next budget cycle. William pointed out about 9 points from staff pushback of areas of concern about us hastily implementing this. Again, we don't need to go through them all, but I think he makes some very valid points. And just like we said about implementing things, it just needs to be done slowly. And I think, Board, we really need to think about some unintended impacts on current things that we are currently have in place, like the CAMA conversion. We would need to phase things in because this starts affecting people's pay.
Wendy, did you have anything, Volga? Yeah.
I was just going to say, I had a question for the enterprise representative, and then I have comments as well for just general. So I thought we could get the questions
Yeah.
from her first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming today. My questions are somewhat related to what some of the other individuals have asked. Which of the vehicles that you suggested for use by the district are made locally? That pings off of what the chairman said on another item. Which ones are made locally?
When you say locally, do you mean
In Tarrant County.
Well, the only manufacturing plant in Tarrant County is the GM plant. So if
Yes,
you
ma'am.
wanted to implement Tahoes, I mean, there's
none.
There's not a cost-effective option that would be
Okay.
produced in Tarrant County.
Okay. Okay. So you have in your dossier, which of the contracted entities cover over 900 square miles?
Which of our government entities?
Which of any of the entities that you contract with that you listed in your in your dossier or that you can think of at the moment cover over 900 square miles?
So our counties would, Kaufman County potentially. I don't know like exactly what the scope is, having not looked up their
So,
big
so you do
footprint.
business with Kaufman County? And we
Kaufman
can
County,
call
Hunt.
them and ask them what their,
Sure, yeah, you can call them.
okay, so
Hunt-
Kaufman, you
Hunt
didn't list
County.
them in here. Kaufman.
We've managed 200 government entities. I couldn't list them all on the page, but.
Do you
Hunt
handle
County-
Tarrant County?
We are not currently partnered with Tarrant County. We just partnered with the city of Arlington. I don't know what their scope is.
What department works with you in Arlington?
I can get you that answer. I don't, it's
Okay,
not my.
I saw them listed in there, and so we're familiar with them. Which of the appraisal districts in Texas use rental cars?
Well, these aren't rentals.
Which of the appraisal districts in Texas utilize your services?
Webb Appraisal District.
Webb County?
Webb, correct. I don't know that the size and the scope makes a difference as it relates to implementing a company-provided vehicle program. The costs show that regardless of mileage, I mean, you're basically reimbursing 67 cents a mile today for an average of 15,000 miles a year, and that we can implement a program that's going to save between 1.5 and 1.8 million for the same mileage. So it's just more cost-effective to operate a vehicle. Now, what was proposed.
I searched for the counties that you did business with in the state of Texas prior to this meeting, and I found none. So I was surprised that you're doing business with Webb County. So thank you for the information.
Okay.
And let's see. Let's see if I can read my so in Webb County, do you work with the county, the appraisal district, or what governmental
with the-
entity do you work with in Webb County?
I believe it's both. It's managed out of our, I think it's the Houston group. But definitely the appraisal district. We had a call with the chief appraisal district just to do some research in preparation of our conversations with y'all.
Okay. And when did you start working with them?
Again, it's not managed in group. Our local account team manages DFW and East Texas, so I can look that up if you'd like for me to. I just don't know that off the top of my head. Many years. I don't know the actual.
Years?
I don't know the actual date. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I know the tax assessor down there, so I'll find out because they would be on board. Okay, thank you so much. Those are the questions that I have
Thank
for the
you.
representative.
Eric, you have any?
First question I have for you, Speaker made an interesting point I didn't consider before. In the event of all the vehicles here, there's hail damage, disaster, who's responsible for that? Like, how does that work?
Theft.
It would go through TAC, which is the risk pool that they would be insured under. So we initially recommended an option for commute use and personal use, and the committee that we were working with was opposed to that. And so we revised it as a business use option only. That wasn't actually our recommendation. Our recommendation was to allow them, if they wanted to use it for personal use, then they would pay a contribution. They could take the vehicle home, and then that contribution would offset the additional cost for them to use it, which would also be a benefit to them. So we're not just taking away the allowance. We're providing them, the personal use. For example, my company car, I use it on nights and weekends as well. All that's dictated through my car policy, but it's a benefit to me as an enterprise employee. But I offset the cost to enterprise, my employer, with that contribution that's payroll deducted. So that was the first thing that was recommended, and we were told that that was not something they wanted to go down. And then we recommended, what about commute use? At least let them take it home, then they'll have the vehicle in their driveway, and then they can go to their first stop. It's also still a benefit to them. And again, that was something that the committee didn't.
Okay, so I guess that's a benefit I wasn't aware of before. Personal use or commute use is that risk of all the vehicles being here, theft, hail damage. I guess that helps mitigate that. So my second question, I think this is going to be for staff on the allowance issue that I meant to ask before. I forgot to ask this. That allowance, do the employees, are they being taxed on that? How does that work from a tax perspective for the appraisal district and for the employee?
It's essentially contributed like income.
It is a true.
It's
Okay.
taxed.
So they are taxed fully, income tax and
Yes, sir.
FICA and all that. Okay. Last thing I'm going to ask of the board, I don't know if it's too early to make a motion, but I do want to make a motion on this since Callie is not here. This is her item, and I know that she probably is going to want to discuss this quite a bit. So I would like to make a motion to table until the next meeting to give her a chance to introduce the item.
Discussion first?
Well,
I'd like
we
to
can still have
discuss,
discussion with a
but-
motion, but,
Yeah. It's not time to table it
Uh-uh.
right now.
okay, but
We have
we can still
discussion
have a discussion even with a motion on the
You can
table.
always make a motion. We can discuss that motion at that point. But
Okay.
it takes precedence over the discussion, the motion to table. Yes, ma'am.
This has nothing to do with the reputation of Enterprise. I personally use them when I travel. But I don't have any questions for you. I know, does anybody have any more questions for her that she's standing there?
Yes,
I do.
Okay,
But, yeah.
okay, so I'm a person who picks up on keywords, as everybody knows, at least on the board. I'm concerned about liability. You mentioned liability for TAD, but moving it over, but then if the employee takes it home, then the liability goes to them, that they have to be covered by some kind of insurance. This is what I'm assuming. Personally, I think it's a logistical nightmare if we move forward in that direction. We don't One of the things mentioned in the email you referenced was that we don't have parking here. I mean, we don't have enough for our clients and our customers as it is, especially during the big time that everybody's here. So how are we going to accommodate all these vehicles in our parking lot? We don't have the space for them, unless we're now going to plan on getting a new building and new parking, which I think that's not even on the table. One of the key words that was said during the presentation was that we are almost at the top of the federal government, which we are not. That's what that tells me. We are not. So we are still doing good business. I just don't see this as a good move for this entity. We don't have that many employees as it is. You're talking about a larger governmental entity like the federal government, of which I've been a part of, then I can understand it. But for this entity, I don't see this as a fit, not at this time, and it would be a hard sell for me even in the future. So those are my comments.
How many cars do you propose to put on site here?
So there's 49 drivers in that category, and based on the conversations we've had with staff, we think that 25 would be plenty that could be shared as pool units if we move to the business use model only.
And first of all, your presentation is great. Thanks for all the data. This is what we need. Help me understand, is this, we purchase them up front?
So Enterprise will acquire them on your behalf.
There you go.
The funding mechanism is an open-end lease. It's like a finance that allows us to just finance the portion of the vehicle that we're using over that term from a cash flow perspective. And so that allows us from a cash flow monthly and annual perspective. I think the annual cost to operate this was based on the Maverick, including operating cost, was only $236,000. As opposed to $490,000 a year for those 25 units.
Okay, a question with your other entities, do you guys geolocate?
We do have that available. Geotab is the provider, the telematics provider that could be implemented if staff and board elected to use that program.
You know, to my colleagues, I personally believe we should geolocate. You can do it by phone or by car. If we have employees that are out and about in the field, 100% we should know everything. Everything. As far as, oh, where did you go? And again, people get nervous about privacy. It's like you're in the office, okay? There is no expected privacy. I'll shut that down real quick. And again, we don't geolocate, do we? We can do it by phone.
At this point, we don't have company-issued phones, company-issued cars. We have no mechanism. We don't have mobile devices. A lot of what we still do is still paper-based. And so as we move into the technology world, that would be something we'd move into with the new system.
It'd be something I'd introduce and want us, you know, I want you to take a look at it. Because again, you know, announcing that we're, you know, doing our work in the field, we should have that visibility. And I will tell you this, you can get it off a personal cell phone. I mean, there should be some expectation of, yes, there's accountability. When I say I'm leaving at noon, and it's, you know, I use Life 360. We use it with my kids, and it's brilliant. It just shows you, you know, there's no stories. There's just data. And so probably that would be one step I would encourage us to take another look at. So those are my inputs there.
We didn't have an issue for business use only, tracking the vehicles. It was more of a concern for the staff after hours, if there's use for commute use, is that now we have public information on where every employee lives, and we have concerns about that. Because there is a reasonable expectation that we don't just broadcast all of our employees' houses.
Absolutely. But again, this is data that is available to us. It's
worked out
helpful because it'll help us, you know, it looks like we're using this as a salary tool and not really to recover or accurately record expenses that are auto-related. And that's what I'd like to see us move towards is, again, if this is promised and it looks like salary, let's just call it what it is. If we could move towards that type of, maybe that would help us to continue securing our transparency awards.
Yes, sir.
But, those are my inputs on the matter.
Yeah, and I think we're close to tabling it, but let me ask a couple of questions that relate. So this is a lease then?
It's not a closed-end lease or a dealership lease. There's no mileage penalties, no wear and tear penalties. There's no contracted period of time you have to keep the asset. It's a finance essentially, but instead of financing it to zero and paying it off or to conserve cash flow, we would finance it to a residual that's conservative below what it's worth in the market, so that we want equity on the back end, but it allows us just to finance the portion of the vehicle that we're going to use over the term. So for example, if it's a $20,000 asset and we're going to run it for 5 years and it's worth $10,000 when we sell it, then we would just finance the difference between what it's worth essentially and what we bought it for. So we're financing the difference there, which frees up cash flow.
So at one point, you made a comment, though, that you handle the sell of it on the back end.
Correct.
For who?
Well, so when we sell the asset, the equity is yours. So just like a finance. So we would sell the asset, find the buyer that's going to give us the most for it, and then we either cut you a check or you can roll the equity into the next one or give you an invoice credit, whatever you prefer.
Okay, and then the insurance is in the poll. Got that out of one of the other questions. I just think this is a big conversation. I do think it relates back to part of what we're hearing Matt say. This has been a conversation for those of us that are new to this board since we got on the board about how many people out here have a car allowance and why. And you answered, or this process answered for a lot of us, a big question. 49 people have had a car allowance, but we only need 25 cars. Big answer to that question. We got a lot of people out here with car allowances that do not need car allowances. Whether we need 25 cars or whatever, if it was equal, we need 49 cars. And so I think that's a big conversation. I think it's a great time for Eric's motion, and anybody else could make it, but go ahead, you got something else?
Are we through with the discussion, or can I now go back to my discussion since I just asked her the question?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I also had a question for Jodon, so I'll ask that first. Jodon, so is it truly 49 staff that would be affected by this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And we picked
and-
25 vehicles, trying to minimize how many may be sitting on any given day not being utilized. And so our thought was we'd start with 25 and ramp up, because they said we can add, remove vehicles throughout the time. So we thought, start 25 and ramp up if we need to.
Right. So it could ramp up to 49 or some number between 25 and a higher number, whatever that number might be.
Yes, ma'am. We just wanted to minimize how many vehicles are sitting.
Right. And the date of, when they start using them being in the protest season, you're not out driving the county during that time for appraisals. You're doing that during the actual season of whenever you're out.
Residential starts usually in July, and so they'll start going back out in the field at that point.
Okay. And so that's a different time frame that I know they don't know your business the way that you know your business. And so then also address the personal use if they bring in these. And so instead of a car allowance that, like what we said, well, we've brought these employees in and we presented an employee package to them, and this was included. Then we go and do the switcheroo, and we say, well, guess what? We have these cars that we're now leasing, and we're going to charge you for it. But you can drive it home, and you can drive it home to Wise County now. And you can use it to go to soccer games, and you can use it to this and that. Well, some people are going to use it more if they live out of county, but some people are going to use it less that live in county. And so can you speak to me on that?
I think the mileage reimbursement part I assume would be based on usage.
Yeah, if you elected to do a personal use option, then that's all taken into account first. So, for example, in my company car policy, I'm allowed to drive it for personal use like 250 miles around where we're located. So I can't
Per
take
day?
it. No, like just 250 miles in terms of radius. So I can't take it to Disney World for personal use. I can't take long trips or what have you, so that helps minimize some of that. But we calculate that in advance, and then we offset that additional depreciation, maintenance, fuel, all that, with that contribution. So again, if they elected to use the personal use option, then we would set that contribution based on potential mileage. So if they live really far away, we know it's gonna cost more for them, we could set the contribution based on that.
Okay, all right.
We don't want it to cost the district any more for that option.
So the committee that went through this, they already said, we think that that's not going to be the best use here in Tarrant County.
I believe it had to do with optics of using county or appraisal district assets and driving them for personal use. It just
Okay.
has a bad optics.
Okay, all right. So, I have a statement, but if Gloria would like to chime in, if it was based off of something that we discussed now, you could go ahead and I'll
Yes,
read
it
my
did,
statement.
it did cost me a question. So we have 49 employees, we're getting 25 vehicles. We're saying now that they could possibly drive them home. So who determines which of the 49 vehicles gets the 25 cars? And that's, again, the logistical nightmare I was talking about. So that's my big question. Now that's like almost half of those employees. I don't get it.
In this proposal, they don't drive them home. In the
But
proposal
she's
that
saying
we're
she
looking-
can accommodate that.
Yeah,
That
she
has
can
been
accommodate
brought up.
whatever, she can accommodate whatever we want her to
That's
accommodate.
been brought up as part of the conversation, so that's why I'm
Yeah,
asking the
yeah.
question.
Okay.
So, I mean, the contracts, so I sell insurance for a living, and I look at these contracts sometimes as well. You can make these contracts to where they drive them nationwide. She has a 250-mile limit on hers. They don't have to be any limit at all. They can go as far as they want to go with them. But I also know that whenever you take them home and store them at home versus storing them here, the insurance is actually higher, because now you're allowing that person to drive them really wherever they choose to drive them versus driving them specifically for work.
So in the first proposal, if I'm allowed to speak to that, because TAC won't cover the personal use and even commute use is considered personal use in their eyes, we propose that our broker would cover the comp collision and liability supplemental to TAC for the commute use comp collision. So that was all built into the first proposal that we provided. And all that cost was taken into account. So if we want to look at it from that perspective, happy to, go back through that if we study session or however you guys want to look at it.
As it relates to employees, there's also, back to the original question, there's also a tax implication, I think, not our kind of taxes, personal tax implication to being given a car versus given a reimbursement for a car, which I would assume that's why we're where we are right now. The tax implication's better on them that they receive a reimbursement or a whatever they call car allowance than being handed car keys to a car that they get to use. So there's all kinds of issues on this one. I'll make the motion. I think it's time. I move that we.
I have one more input.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
When we take a step back, okay, why are we talking about automobiles for TAD employees? It's for them to visit the field. At what point is someone going to bring some data to us about using drones for this exact application? I mean, do you have to be there in person? This is discussion because we're looking for efficiency here. We want to see this entity become the most efficient appraisal district in the great state of Texas. And, is there a need to take the cars out like this? Are we really getting any bang for our buck, or is it just a salary play? Because if it's just a salary play, just adjust the salary, but remove that benefit. But also, if we can become more efficient in getting out in the field, and let me tell you, use of drones probably is going to be where this is headed. Let's be early.
With drones, I think there's licensing requirements like with FAA that we have concerns with. We use pictometry, aerial photography, so we fly that once a year, and that works pretty well. But once we identify properties that need attention, then we drive out to actually put boots on ground and measure the actual walls. I think people expect that we're actually doing it, validating the measurements of the house. With aerial photography, there may be a porch or some sort of offset you can't see underneath the porch, like how deep it is, and so we sometimes in trees, even though we do it in December, there's less leaf foliage, but it leaves a lot to be desired. Drones have another privacy concern for taxpayers. If most taxpayers will want to shoot a TAD drone down if they saw it and were driving around their backyard. But aerial photography, pictometry is a good tool to minimize, but residential did compare what they're actually driving this past year. We haven't been logging exact miles because with the car allowance, we don't need to. The reason we went to car allowance is less overhead, less maintenance, but we do validate that it is comparable to other districts and to what we're actually driving. There may be pluses and minuses on different employees. Some drive more than what they're being reimbursed for, and some are driving less. So it's not always a perfect match.
Chairman, I'd like to make my statement since I've been kind for the rest, and then I will stop. So, members of the board, I'd like to address the operational and liability implications of replacing our current car allowance with the rental purchase program, since I had a rental program in there for the appraisers. The concept of renting vehicles may appear cost neutral at first glance. The operational and legal realities introduce efficiencies and liabilities that our district does not currently face under the existing allowance model. Thank you to Mr. Durham for his thoughts on the matter to the board. Operationally, the appraisers use district the payments for their personal models, their personal vehicles, and is restricted to their official use during the day. However, they can use them for personal, like going to lunch in their personal vehicles. If they were using these purchased or loaned vehicles, this would require employees to return to the office multiple times a day to exchange vehicles whenever they need to use their personal car for lunch or personal errands, potentially, depending on the agreement. Such a process would disrupt workflow, reduce field productivity, and add unnecessary administrative complexity. Our appraisals perform field work across multiple jurisdictions and often start their day in a different location, so requiring repeated returns to the office for vehicle exchanges would significantly hinder efficiency. From a liability standpoint, shifting from a car allowance to a rental or district-provided vehicle program, you can sit down, ma'am. You're welcome. Sorry. I should have said that first. Under the current allowance model, the employee's personal insurance serves as the primary coverage, since you're an insurance agent, you know that, which minimizes the district's exposure. However, if the district rents or leases these vehicles, the district becomes the primary responsible party for any incidents, even if at the employee's fault. This change would expose the district to greater financial and legal risk. It's also worth noting that our sister governmental entity, Tarrant County, follows a similar car allowance practice for its elected officials and certain department heads. This policy acknowledges that permitting employees and officials to use their personally insured vehicles for official purposes is both efficient and fiscally responsible. It reduces administrative overhead and maintains accountability and limits government liability. This rental model also, or purchase model, imposes administrative burdens, including managing vehicle assignments, tracking usage, coordinating the vehicles, maintaining logs, ensuring compliance with purchasing and procurement rules outlined in Chapter 252 of the Local Government Code. These overhead costs and compliance risks would outweigh any perceived operational savings they could potentially, and I'm still willing to talk about it in the future. For these reasons, continuing our current vehicle allowance policy remains the most efficient, compliant, and risk-conscious approach. It supports operational flexibility, ensures fiscal accountability, and aligns our district practices with standard governmental policy in this county and appraisal districts across the state. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. This has nothing to do with Enterprise. I think Enterprise is a good company. But I move that we table this to our next regularly scheduled meeting. Not our next meeting, but our next regularly scheduled meeting. Because I just think we've got lots of questions and things we still need to process through.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we table this to our next regularly scheduled meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none,
Could we be date certain on that, sir?
do what?
Date certain on that?
That'd be January, right? Our next regular? January
Got a
14th.
proposed calendar in front of you.
It's on your, or should be on your screen. It's on
Yes,
mine.
sir. I just thought for the public that would be
Yeah.
most prudent.
Everybody vote.
It's not up.
It says I sent it, but I will resend it.
We'll start looking at a new board system.
Something.
This,
Thank you.
a lot of promises with it, but it's been frustrating, so.
Well, they won't let, I've
So
already voted.
I've sent
Never
it
mind,
twice.
let
Has
me-
anyone received it?
Yeah, I got it.
We just have to
For
start it
purpose
over
of time,
all
all in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. And C, discussion and possible action on the process for entity appointments to the Appraisal District Board of Directors.
We have public speakers potentially.
Is there speakers? George? No. Barbara Payne? No. Daniel Bennett? No. Chandler Crouch? Yeah.
I just wanted to thank Mr. Blaylock for his time on the board. I appreciate your contribution, and I wish you well on all your future endeavors. Thank you.
Syed's not in the room. Good. Or not good, but, oh, Syed, yeah, there she is. You still in? I didn't mean good in that way. Just Renee? Okay, good. I'm sorry, I missed you, Eric. Eric Crowell. And I have nobody after Eric.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
Chairman Barnes, answer your question. CoStar's headquartered in Arlington, Virginia. Local office is here in Dallas off Paul Street. And the other comment is a lot of rumors. If anybody on this board, if you guys want to meet with me, I'm offering to meet with you guys in executive session if you have any questions, since there is an investigation into what happened. Thank you.
Thank you. So now, back to Mr. Bobbitt. Do you have a presentation?
This was tabled from the last meeting, and so
So move to take it from the table. We need to move to take this issue from the table.
You tabled it, so.
Action items.
I'll move to take this item from the table.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we take this item back off the table. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Julie's furiously typing right now, so in a minute you're going to get a vote
see.
pop up, but it passed unanimously. So back to the discussion of possible action on the process for entity appointments to the Appraisal District Board of Directors. Mr. Bobbitt.
I don't know what other questions y'all have. Basically, I've admitted our mistake, that we will move forward with implementing additional second checks and to validate and verify that doesn't happen going forward. Beyond that, I don't know if you have any.
Any questions right now? I know we're going into executive session right after this. Any questions or comments right now on this issue? Yeah, you're good. Nope. Yep. Seeing none, we're going to now recess to executive session, closed session pursuant to the following parts of the Texas Open Meeting Act, Government Code. To comment before we go to executive session? All right, yes, ma'am, come on up. And hello.
I promise that's the one I selected. I don't know how I got on all of them. But thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Renee Smith Faulkner, Superintendent of Castleberry ISD. I can say that since the reappraisal plan, our district has definitely been on a roller coaster ride. I feel good about where we are now, but I also know there's always going to be new challenges in the future. However, what I have to speak on today is I'm here to respectfully voice my support for retaining the current chief appraiser. In his time serving our communities, he has demonstrated a commitment to transparency, such as the Transparency Stars. Our district also has several Transparency Stars in our financial reporting, and I think that's very important. His collaboration and his continuous learning of the complexities of school finance. School finance changes every day, and it is very complex. And understanding how some of the decisions that are made on this board and the implications it can have on school finance. He has maintained open and ongoing communication with the local school districts. More importantly, he has shown a genuine willingness to engage in the complexities of public school finance, even coming to my office with a spreadsheet showing how he came up with some of the numbers. Even though I didn't like the numbers, he was very transparent on how we received them, and especially a finance system that is not only highly technical, but consistently involving in each legislative session. I'm learning every day. His proactive approach to understanding this work has strengthened trust and allowed for more productive conversations between TAD and the school district that it serves. He has also taken the initiative to present directly to our school board. Anytime I call and ask questions, I receive a phone call back or a visit. He's been to our school board meeting, provided clarity, and especially when sometimes his answers are not always the answers that we want to hear, and ensures that we have the information needed to best serve our student, staff, and be responsible to our taxpayers. That level of accessibility and partnership matters for school districts. School districts depend on fair, accurate, and stable appraisal leadership. Continuity in that leadership allows us to continue to build a stronger working relationship, maintain clear communication, and avoid unnecessary disruption or unintended consequences to school districts when some might not understand the decisions that you're making and the unintended consequences that school districts might face because of the immense complexity to the finance, how schools are financed. For these reasons, I respectfully today request that the board retain the current chief appraiser. His collaboration, his willingness to learn with the districts, and his service-focused leadership have made a meaningful difference for our community, and I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of other districts.
Thank you. Time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this time we'll recess to close session following the Texas Open Meeting Act, Government Code, Section 551, 071, 072, and 074. We will start that meeting at 10 after. I think. Welcome back to the meeting. Here's a sidebar word of fun. Our IT people asked us to quit clicking our pens up here because our microphones are hot, and I am the one that does that. So if you're listening online, it's my fault. I will quit clicking my pen. So that's just kind of a fun sidebar. We have one motion out of the meeting.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the TPO? TLO.
TLO, annual, yeah. It's been moved that we approve the TLO report. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. The TLO is, it's the annual evaluation of the TLO that we're approving. Any discussion on that?
You're also including approving the report, the evaluation?
Yes. Are you typing that in, or you want us to do it verbally?
You're going to need to do it.
Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, all opposed? Motion carries. And on anything else that we talked about, there is a investigation on the election issue from 2024 that continues. We're continuing that investigation moving forward. We were scheduling a meeting for December the 1st. At that meeting, the only agenda item will be the conclusion of that process, at which point we'll have a report. Anything else good for the order? Other than that, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It's been moved that we adjourn. It's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned for today. We'll see you on December the 1st.